Yeah, a very good morning to all of you. My name is Puneet Gupta, and I am from the Automotive Forecasting Vertical of IHS Market. So before I get into the presentation, let me thank a PV Forum team, for inviting us at this event. So thanks, Rohit, and thanks, PV Forum team. Yeah. Okay. So here is, so today I'm in next 15 minutes. I'm going to take you through how the auto industry is heading towards. But here is what we see. 2018 was a year of opportunities, a year of challenges. This is what also reminds me of my childhood game. Snakes and ladders. So a lot of snake bites this year, but parallelly a lot of opportunities for us. And I think this is what is the theme of today, what Rohit talked about. So this will be the agenda for my next 15 minutes. So looks quite big, but I'll be very crisp onto my slides. I'll be going through the global automotive outlook. We'll have a look at health of economy, Indian economy, policy enablers, and then have a look at automotive sales outlook with focus on trends. Now coming to the global sales outlook, I think 2018 was a year of volatility. We had a lot of cross-border tensions. We had tariff issues. We had regulatory norms, new regulatory norms, which are being coming up. There is a big technology shift, which all has led to a lot of stress on the automotive sector. So if we see 2018, expected numbers are going to be 93 million car sales, light vehicle sales, which will be little less than what we did in 2017. Primarily on a lighter side, we can say that Mr. Trump, the tweets, the trade and the tariffs, had all led to this downfall. And the big two markets, China and US, so they primarily declined. But now going forward from 2018 to 2025, we see a CAGR growth of 2% till global growth of 2%. And interesting part is, if you see here, the advanced economies are either having a flat growth or they are having a negative growth. However, the emerging part of the world, you can see is really contributing to this growth. And if I compare 2025 with 2018, primarily developing markets are going to contribute 15 million units more, in 2025, whereas the advanced markets are going to diminish by 1 million units. So this clearly shows the role of developing markets going forward. And if we see India in it, so just a decade back, India was not even in the top 10 markets of the world. But in 2017, we were the 5th biggest market, domestic sales market in the world. And going forward in 2025, we will be the 3rd biggest market. So this really reflects, a role of each of us, the role of product planners, strategy planners, or anybody who is there in automotive fraternity in India is going to be much more responsible, much more critical, what it has been in last decade. And definitely, I think, yes, so 3rd is India. So here, so one thing we can say is that we are at the right place, in the world, at the right time, where we are going to see still a lot of aggressiveness in terms of growth, and the corporate sales parents will be looking forward to us. Now looking forward, to India as an economy coupled with world, there is no doubt that we are in sync with the world. But if we see 2016, that was the time when India got decoupled, with the global growth. We can see the green line coming down, but now we see, but that was because of demonetization time. But now we see the Indian economy is back. We are just in sync with the global economy. The global economy is degrowing, and you can see the India also having a little bit reflection of the same. But interestingly, we are bounced back. We are just in sync with the global economy. If we have a look at the few key macros, consumer confidence, though it has declined from the time the Modi government started, but still we feel 95 is a great level. And once we have good liquidity in the market, market, I think it'll bounce back quickly. The business confidence, interestingly, which has been a big concern for everybody, is moving up. I think we can see the pointers moving towards 65, which is good. Bank loan growth rates touching around 14%, which itself reflects that the business houses have started, taking credits. If we have a look at India infrastructure output, I think that's again growing. So all in all, if we have a look at the key macros, for example, GDP growth rate. So 2018, we are at 7.22. We are going to be something around 7.77% in 2019. So ideally, we are going to degrow in 2019. But that is primarily because, as I said, of the global worries. Then in next 2020, we are even going to come to 6.9%. But if we have a look, but nevertheless, we as an economy are growing at around 7%, which is great. Then if we talk about inflation, we were something around 4.5% in 2018. The inflation next year is going to go up, primarily because we may be crossing our fiscal deficit, and oil prices are also putting pressure. So we may be around 5.5, a little bit more than that. But interestingly, if you see the past, we have been touching 10, 12%, and inflation has been a big bottleneck. But now something around 5.5, 6 is still great. Similarly, repo rates, we are at 6.5% today. Next year, after 1st of April, we are expecting that repo rates will go up, primarily because definitely we will not be touching our fiscal deficit targets. We'll be crossing them by 3.3%. So definitely RBI may increase the repo rates in April 2017. And for 2019, we are talking about something around 7.25 repo rates. So all in all, we can say that though things will be under pressure, but nevertheless, it's a good macro to enter 2019. Now, this is what is the oil prices. So we have just tried to plot. In the black is the spot price, and on the outer curve is the consumer price. So we can clearly see here that way back in 2012, the gap between consumer price and spot price was very less. This was because government was subsidizing diesel, government was subsidizing gasoline, but now there are no subsidies. So diesel is not a favorite fuel today. And even if we see globally, this is a global picture for light vehicles. Diesel is just 19% of the total sales, whereas if we talk about India, in light vehicle sales, we are something around still 35%. So PVs is less, but yeah, because of light vehicles is coming to 35. So still we are much more, in terms of diesel penetration in our country, and that is primarily because our consumer is relatively price sensitive. So coming down to few norms which are going to hit the auto industry, though they are great for consumer, great for auto industry, but they will definitely be a deterrent because they will lead to price hikes. So I think in the coming sessions we will be going through these in the details, which is Euro 6 in 2020, and a lot of safety norms coming in terms of fixing up a rear parking sensor, or bringing up safety norms for like full frontal crash impact. So I think all this is going to add cost, but at the same time, this will be an opportunity for OEMs, because in India we have seen a pre-buy rush, which generally happens, and we have seen it during the GST time, and this is what we think will lead to growth in 2019 also. Now, this is something very interesting, a big driver for automotive sales in India. So I think we did a study, reinventing the wheel, where we targeted 4 markets, and India was the only market where we see that mobility will add to TIVs. In all other markets, US, China, Europe, the TIVs, the total industry volumes will actually decline, but India is the only market where we see, and where we have increased the forecast, by 700,000 going forward in 2030. And this is primarily because there is a big white space, right, between two-wheelers and car ownership, and there we see the ride sharing perfectly fits. And even we saw in Move Summit, that the government is really very much focused on pushing mobility, So this is going to be a big driver for the automotive industry in next decade. So out of this, seeing the current trends, we feel hatchbacks will be dominating. So coming to the India outlook sales, I think this is light vehicles, which is passenger cars plus LCVs less than 6 tons. So here we can see that the growth in 2018 is something around to be 8.5%.